what you're looking for. All right, so after reading your assignment requirements, I sort of am going to basically do like a pretty vague overview of how to reference quests from each other and how to basically make items like the box of stuff in my little mod or whatever item you guys have that's supposed to, impact your quest, set stages and objectives on multiple quests. This is a pretty easy process the second and third time you do it, but the first time you do it, you need to make sure that you're going about it in a very procedural and detail-oriented way, because it's sort of easy to screw up and get stuff backwards. Also, test all the time when you're doing this, because it's really easy to write, 50 different stages and objectives and everything, and then find out that, you misnamed one, or one of your objectives is setting the wrong thing, or anything like that, and that can just get sort of confusing and backwards and stuff like that. So I would really recommend for this assignment and then moving forward towards your final to start doing this paper thing that I do if you haven't, or do something like that, like start a note on your computer that just says at stage 40 in quest A, that's the fail stage, at stage 30, that's the completion stage, stuff like that. Okay, so I will start with what I already did sort of in prep for lab, which was basically something that you guys should already be familiar with doing, which is I set up a second quest. You can have as many quests as you want in a mod, as long as they don't have the same IDs, and as long as they don't, overlap each other too much in other ways. So this is my demo quest for lab that I called, this is the one we've been looking at before, just the fetch quest. I'm actually going to change its name to the Aspen's quest, so that we can keep them straight. Oh, also, I forgot to do this forever ago. Setting its priority above 0, if you're, running into weird issues, will probably help a lot with that. The other thing that I did, so I've got my Aspen quest. I set up this second quest, which is basically the situation that I've come up with is you can either give Aspen or Andy Deadman the box of stuff, and that will complete or fail each other's quests. Yes?
So just to be clear, it's 2 quests.
Yep, 2 separate quests. Yes, and it should be 2 separate quests. Because you want each NPC to show you, quest stages and stuff like that, after looking at Skinner's assignment, you could handle this all in one big quest, but it's going to be much easier to just do it in 2 small quests. When I did something sort of like this for my big final project, where the player could choose either to join the cult or leave, and you chose to do that either by killing the cult leader or by killing the sister of the girl you were sent down to rescue. And I tried managing that all in one quest, and I ended up with 38 stages, no joke, and so when I redid it, I just separated them out, and it was much easier. So just go about things with 2 separate quests. You'll be way happier you did. Okay, so this is my second quest, which I just called 000 AC second quest. Don't forget about the 00s. I'll keep reminding you until you all do it. It has a different ID, it has a different name, and it has the same priority, which is fine. Quest priorities mostly impact large game things like if you're in the Brotherhood of Steel, it automatically ups the priority on those quests and stuff like that. But you guys aren't using factions or anything yet, so you should be fine with just having 2 of the same priority. We created, I set the XP Radiant like you're supposed to, and then I did create a couple little scenes. So the first thing I did was I went through and I made Andy Deadman, who's, in case you guys forgot, that's the guy who just is over here who leans against this wall. He's the guy who you can kill to set a stage in the other quest, but I took that script off him so it wouldn't break all my logic. So I set him as a quest alias, which is fine. You'll notice that I didn't set Aspen as an alias in this quest. She is owned by her own quest, and Andy is owned by his own quest. So that's, again, keep stuff as separate as you can. It'll make your logic much easier, and also it'll shorten your work time. So after I had Andy as an alias on this quest, I went to scenes, and I created 3 different scenes. Yes?
Do both quest aliases share the same object? The drawing?
Yep, they do. Yeah. So they'll both reference the box of stuff. And I'll show you how that works after I show you a little bit of the quest setup stuff. So the way that you can manage stuff, I saw that Skinner wants you guys to go talk to both NPCs before you complete or fail their quests. You can handle that all through quest stages. So someone was saying, how do I check if they have a certain item? How do I check, what level they're at? Stuff like that. The easiest way to do it, and the way that you should do it for this assignment, is just using quest stages. So what I did was I created a first scene that just, at stage 0, at the end it sets it to stage 10, he asks me to get him Aspen's box of stuff. The other thing I saw is that one quest is supposed to have a reward, and the other quest is not. So this quest does not have a reward. The Aspen one gives you, I think, 20 caps, and so this one I just chose not to have a reward in. So remember that, and be sure you look at your assignment specifications when you're like writing this stuff, because if you make both your quests have a reward, then you're going to break the assignment. It's just going to take points off. Those are dumb, bad points to lose. Okay, so then I went through and I set up in my quest stages. After I had my scenes, I set up my quest stages. So the beginning of the quest, this is what gets set. I have an objective right here. My objective 10 is just get Aspen's box of stuff for Andy. So at quest stage 10, it gets set to objective displayed 10 here. And then give stuff to Andy is an option. That's basically an objective in the middle that'll be displayed when I pick up the box of stuff. And then what I did was I created 2 separate phases, one for completing the quest and one for failing the quest. So the fail stage should always be the last number that you have. You should never have, like, at 60 you fail the quest and at 70 you complete it. The fail one should always be the very, very, very largest number that you have. So the way that you make a quest get failed is the same way you make a quest get completed. It's this fail quest checkbox right here. As you'll notice, there's a new little line of code here, which is set objective failed. So the same way that you might write set objective completed, 20, you can also set objectives failed. If you guys are familiar with Fallout, I think they show up in your Pip-Boy with a little red X through them, and that just shows that you've done a bad job and you haven't done that. So just, again, this is where the paper comes in handy. You can write down, you know, or even take a screenshot. At Andy's quest, stage 50 is the fail stage, and you're setting your objective fail to 20 here. So we now have the architecture in place for at stage 30, come on, the quest gets completed, and at stage 50 here, the quest gets failed. Okay, so, yes, Taylor?
Is it possible to do something based on the state of the objective, like whether or not it's completed or failed?
Like what?
Like if you're saying, you know, like, you go talk to that NPC,
Mm-hmm.
like, say you gave the item to NPC, and you go talk to that NPC to finish that quest, and it's just like, you don't want them to give you the reward if you fail the quest.
Yes.
You want to set, like,
There is an easier way to do it, and that is with quest stages. So you can use quest stages, you can use other quests as properties of each other's scripts. So if you look in this line, right here, in stage 30, which is where I give Andy the box of stuff that belongs to Aspen, I have set objective completed for Andy's quest at 20 right here. So that's my objective, that is return Aspen's box of stuff to Andy. And then I have this line below it that is AspenQuest.setStage 33. So if I go into my properties, you can see that I have assigned my Aspen Quest variable to be Aspen's Quest, my demo quest for lab. So what I can basically do is now say, in the Aspen Quest, at stage 33, have this scene play. So when you walk up to Aspen, instead of saying, thank you so much for bringing me a box of stuff, she says, which I already set up, she says, she says, how could you give Andy my box of stuff? So again, this is why managing it with quest stages is great, because if you try to do it through script, like my instinct was always try to do this stuff through coding, but you often get sort of lost in a mire of variables and like referencing things in Papyrus from each other, and because Papyrus doesn't have a native update function, you can run into issues with that. So it really is the best just to do it on quest stage. The other thing that you can do, so I'll explain that like sort of referencing quests from each other thing a little bit better. Does that make sense to everybody, or do you want me to explain it again? Yeah.
I have a question though. The thing is, on the quest stages you get scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you have a stage after?
It's badly labeled. That was just on me. It's just badly labeled. Are you talking about like this one? Or in the other quest? Yeah, it's just badly labeled. It just shouldn't be called complete stuff, because it doesn't complete here. It completes here. And this is just basically what I did was like when you talk to Aspen and give her the box of stuff, it sets her quest stage to 30. But if you give Andy the box of stuff, it sets Aspen's quest stage to 40, so that when I go talk to her, she says something different. So this is why like the logic you really have to like think through and work through on paper, because this this mire gets confusing really quickly.
Requests are referencing each other.
Correct. Yes. And that's what I was just talking with Taylor about, was over here, if we look, hang on, I think we just, whoop, like this. Okay, so this is my Aspen quest, and this is my Andy quest. So in my Andy quest, I have a scene, and when I talk to Andy, I give him Aspen's box of stuff, and I set this quest stage to 30 right here. So this is the same thing you guys have always done, setting quest stages on the end of dialogue. Now, if I look at stage 30 in this quest, that's setting the stage of Aspen quest to 33. If I go to the Aspen quest, at stage 33, it sets my objective 30, which is give Aspen back her box of stuff, to failed. Also, there is a scene where Aspen will talk to you at stage 33 and say, how could you give Andy my box of stuff? So does that make sense why, like, you need those extra sort of phases? This is another reason why having, like, naming them 10, 20, 30, 40 comes in handy, because I chose 33 for my mid-ground one, because it's not one or the other. And like I said, your fail state and your complete state should probably be the last two that you use. I broke my own rule. But you have that sort of leeway in the middle to add extra phases if you need them. Does that make sense? I know this is confusing, so if I need to explain it again, I totally will. Yes? Okay. Great. So, we can reference quests from each other, which is fabulous. The easiest sort of logical way to solve this problem is just to create different scenes for your NPC to say at different times. So, if you have, you got my box of stuff, congratulations, here's your stuff, what Aspen says at stage 40, when you're ready to complete her quest. At stage 33, she says, how could you give Andy my box of stuff? So, for instance, if you have two characters who want you to get a gun, and you give it to character A, maybe character B says, now you've armed my greatest enemy. Or if you give it to character A, the other way around, then, they can say different things based on what you give it to them. Hannah's way of doing it with checking for an item count works, but there's a little sort of catch to it, which is that you have to keep doing it on different dialogue options sometimes. So this way of doing it with quest stages just sort of streamlines everything and makes it so that you don't have to go through your scene and keep checking it at each phase in your scene. Again, it also sets in place the logic for larger networks of quests. If you use this method, then you can have 4 or 5 quests referencing each other and setting stages in each other and things like that without the same type of logical overlap that you might get if you try to use variables or that get item count thing. Okay. The second part of this is having an item set stages on multiple quests. So as we all know, this beloved box of stuff is what Aspen wants and also what Andy wants. So, okay. By the way, if you ever lose a dialogue box behind something, just try to save and the game will pop it up in the front here so you don't have to move your render window and dig around for it. Alright, so if we look at this grab the stuff script, which, if you remember, is the original script that I wrote on this that sets a quest stage when you pick up the item, you can edit properties by right-clicking on it. And as you can see, I added a second property here, which is a quest property. It originally just had the fetch quest property, which was Aspen's quest, where you get her the stuff, and then when you pick this item up, it sets it to quest stage 30, which displays the objective, bring Aspen back her box of stuff. Now, we also have our Andy quest variable. If we go into the source, which you can do this if you right-click on the script and hit edit source. So if you need to change something that you wrote in the script, unless you guys know this already, after you've already written the script, right-click, edit source will let you open this back up. And what I did here was, this was the script that I had last time I opened this for you guys. All I did was add this line, which is the same way that I set a stage in the fetch quest, I can set a stage in the Andy quest too. Now, when I pick up this item, my Aspen quest will display the objective, give this box of stuff to Aspen, and my Andy quest will display the objective, give this box of stuff to Andy. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. This is pretty simple stuff. The other thing you can do, if you don't want to have stages for everything, is... Oh, did you have a question? Okay, great. Let me know if it starts becoming irrelevant. Is Andy quest.setObjective displayed 20. You can do that stuff right from here. So if you want to sort of minimize your amount of quest stages, you can do it this way. My only caution to you guys is the reason that I tend to do stuff like this with quest stages is because it's really easy to see exactly where you're setting everything and like exactly what objectives you're setting displayed, exactly what objectives you're setting completed right in quest stages. If you do stuff like this in script, you run the risk of forgetting where you set something to true or false or displayed or failed or completed or whatever. And then when you're trying to debug and test, you're going to have to just dig through everything you have to figure out where you set stuff up. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's just sort of neatness. And when you're dealing with this kind of like looping logic, the simpler you can do it, the better. Okay, so now we have this box of stuff. We'll set quest stages for both of these people, and the quests are referencing each other. That was like my big lesson plan for the day. So I know this stuff's kind of confusing. I can take questions now. You have one to begin with, right?
Is it easy to script an item to take out both inventory after use? For example, like a custom key. I got player uses key to unlock the door. Is it easy relative to say, like a boy, oh, the key broke, and you can use it for outside the player's inventory?
Yes.
Do you think the pay your keeper or something might be a little bit much for me, but it is very easy.
Yeah, removing it from the inventory is really easy. I think there's a tag on keys that's used once.
You can use once for keys for other items. You can, like the same way that you give players keys, you can search for the item for use it. And it'll just come up with a little message at the top left hand side of the screen where it says remove one, I don't know, red
Carrot.
Stick or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's part of my video. If not, I can show you guys how to do it right now. Really quick, just removing items. But I guess there's not a tag to just use once on this key. Maybe there is if you drag it into the world. But what you can do is just remove it from the player's inventory after they use it. Like basically, if you have a door set up that like you have to unlock this door to do the thing, you can put a script on the door that says that's like on activate, which basically is like when you have the key, or I think, or maybe it's either on activate or on unlock, and then you can just have it remove the item from the player's inventory after they unlock or activate the door.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah. The way to remove items from the player's inventory is as follows. We'll just use this again. It's game.getPlayer.remove. I actually think it's getPlayer like this. Remove item. I wonder if I have any properties on here. Let's see. I hope I do, so I don't have to make one. Okay, great. Like this. So that compiles fine. So the same way that you can do game.getPlayer.addItem or give player caps or whatever, this will remove this count of this item from the player's inventory. And again, if you set that up on a script that's on an object that like after I activate it, it does that, then you should be good. Okay, other questions? No? Taylor, yes.
Somebody asked about how hard it is to have an NPC initiate a conversation with the player.
That's something you should save for your final project. I told Colin yesterday, and I don't know how many of you guys saw it, there is a way to make it. One thing that I think a couple of you had questions about was, like, so your NPCs don't just, like, shout their greeting at you as you're walking by. There's a tab for that, which is, requires player activation right here. So if you check that, then your NPC won't say, thanks for giving me Aspen's box of stuff as you're walking by. You'll have to actually hit the E button to talk to them to make that happen. But you can do NPC, like, interrupt or start conversations, but they use a sort of, like, AI package data and stuff like that I would just say save it for your final project. I know that there are a couple people in our cohort who did that. Ted and Parker both did, so if you need help with that, I would ask those two. Just message them on Slack. Parker was a TA, so he's a teacher. Yes?
How do you do dialogue in a way where if you choose one option, you can immediately be put into a new brand?
What do you mean?
So, like, you say yes to the request, and then immediately they say something in 4 more options.
I can show you how to do that. I figured this out recently, and it was big good news for my quest too. Okay, so I'm actually gonna open up my current DFS project to show you guys because it'll be easier than trying to type out a whole new scene. I wonder what it's called. There it is. Basically, what you're doing to do that is just using the Start Scene on End tab. You can select any phase of any scene to start on the end of any dialogue option. So, like, for mine, there's a ghost, and if you say that you can see him, then he immediately kicks you to, like, guess how I died, and, like, you know, all this stuff. So that's the easy way to do it. But I'll show you, like, actually the editor when this loads. We talked about that in, like, my first lecture. That was fine.
Just a reminder, it's not working.
Yeah, that's... Yes. If you're not naming your dialogue phases all the time, you should be naming them all the time. Oh my god, I wonder how long this is going to take. Are there any other questions while it's loading up? No? Okay. Word of advice, if you haven't figured this out yet, pack-ins will save your ass when you're trying to do aesthetics. Yes?
So you can group objects and you go like have it in a group in the object in the like this is
Yeah.
Is it in the group? How we do this? It's very good. Just like collapse that so that the group is one object.
You can create a pack-in.
So like when you drag a pack in and you select
Oh, no, there's not a way. You can't combine meshes into one object or anything like that. Yeah.
kind of like you still have every single instance of it. Like, that can
Yeah.
come up, you can drag all of them, put them in the just like
It's the same with pack-ins, like, where you if it has, like, 4 lamps and a crate, you drag in all of it, and then as soon as you deselect it, you can only select the individual items again. No. At least not as far as I know. There might be, but I'm not sure if there is. Okay, so this is how you do, in answer to your question, this type of stuff. So, I think this, let's see. This is the wrong scene. Let's see. We'll go Thomas first. Okay, so this is the part of the quest where you meet the ghost. You see the ghost. This is where the player says, yes, you know, I've seen a ghost, blah, blah, blah. This will move straight to this phase right here because I don't have anything set in the end scene. If I want it to repeat this until... Oh, yeah. If you want this type of stuff, you can't put more than one restart scene in your scene or it gets real confused. So you should not use the restart scene method unless you like want it to run linearly through the scene and then start over. Instead, what you can do is, like on this one, the player says, you know, is somebody there? Show yourself. And he says, look again a little harder. If I select the scene and the phase, which is my player dialogue option phase, is actually this phase right here. At the end of this dialogue option, it will just play this phase again. By the same token, if I want, let's see. Okay, I think this one does it. I can't remember exactly which ones do what here. Okay, no. Okay, so yeah, again, this is an example of like at the end of this reward discussion, it kicks you to back to here, but then at the end of like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly which dialogue options I have. You can choose like to go back and forth or anything like that. So like, if he says that's enough information, and then the ghost says, will you take the job? Then you can say, okay, and go to the end of the scene. So the start scene on end will be how you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, you can choose whichever ones you want. You can go forward and back. This is a foolproof way to do it without worrying about restarting scenes or using conditions. This will also keep your quest stages to a minimum. Are there other questions? No? Yes. Okay, I'll show you that. If I want to make a pack-in of these 4 items, select them, right-click, and then you can hit Create Pack-in right here. And then you can call it whatever you want. So I'll call it Many Crates. And then you can actually add or subtract items here. Like if I accidentally selected this and I don't want it, I can delete it out of here. And then hit OK. And now, if I search for pack-ins, which are stored in a weird place... Oh my god. Pack-in. So if I go to pack-ins, nope. Up at the top, see? 00 AC many crates right here. I made a whole pack-in that was the exterior of this warehouse, so you can add as much shit as you want to a pack-in, and just drag in, like, entire buildings at a time. So, don't be alarmed about adding, like, too many items to this pack-in. Pack-ins are really, really useful. If you have something like... I just recently lost a whole cell, so I'm sad about it now, but, like, I had pack-ins of a lot of my stuff, like, even this weird clutter over here, and the stuff that I put on the desk of the lady over here. Those are I made pack-ins of those, and I was able to save a lot of work. So, the other thing is, as far as, like, blocking stuff out goes, Creation Kit, unlike Unreal, obviously doesn't have, like, BSP that you can use to just block stuff out. If you're trying to just get a sense of your space, this is a really good way to do it. I've used these shipping crates, and also these vault crates. These are about the same size as a lot of random pack-ins and stuff that are around the world and the Commonwealth. So if you're just looking for, like, a way to block stuff out and see, like, okay, does the player have enough cover in combat in this area, or is this going to feel super cramped if I add a bunch of stuff and you don't want to spend 4 hours looking for the perfect assets, just using vault crates and shipping containers is a really easy way to do it. It'll save you a lot of time. Other questions? No? How's the assignment going? Good? Yeah? You guys gotten started? Okay. Good, good. Okay. I can talk a little bit about workflow if you guys want. Like, the way that I usually do this is the way that I did it to set it up for lab today, which is I write just... Again, I showed you this before, but I'm going to show it to you again, because I'm telling you guys, this will save your asses, and I didn't learn this until Professor Porter made me, but this type of stuff, where, like, at Quest Stage 10, this is the objectives that get displayed, these are the scenes that happen at Quest Stage 10, and these are the global variables that get manipulated by that objective, is so useful. And if anybody wants to see this more up close, just let me know and I'll Slack you a picture of it. But planning now will save you so much time, because I can like take this sticky note and move it to another phase really easily. But once I start committing stuff to the editor, moving things around in Fallout is like a pain in the ass. Like, Hannah just went back and tried to redo some work on one of her old DFS projects, and it's like, it sucks. Exactly. So like, you'll just save yourself a lot of time later if you plan now. And a little sneak preview of LD4, you guys get the chance to go back and redo one of your projects, and almost everybody who had the chance to do that with Fallout found that, like, they hated themselves because they didn't set it up right the first time. So take it from someone who knows. Just do it now. Just do it good. Then, after I have, like, my quest planned out, I always create my actual, like, quest logic. So I'll create the new quest with a new ID in the editor, second quest with second ID, then set up aliases, then stages, then objectives, and then just test it by going into the game and just typing in, like, aspenquest.setStage 10, 20, 30, 40, and just see if the right objectives show up at the right times. After you have, like, that working, then start adding in objects, scripts, NPC dialogue, things like that. And then, of course, last is aesthetics, which, if you're an aesthetic designer like me, is very, very sad and hard to accept. So that's like sort of my Fallout workflow a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else? No? Okay. So that's all we have for you today. You can go or stay and work. Hannah and I will be here for about another half an hour to answer questions if you guys need it. So, and again, if you need anything over the weekend, I tend to take Sundays off. So if you like really need me on Slack, direct message me, or like if it tells you my notifications are muted, just send me like a push anyway, because I'm fine with that. But that's like, if you don't hear from me on the weekend, that's why.